I'm trying to book my mum flowers for Mother's Day. And it's not working. Hi everyone, welcome to Maude's Book Club. We're doing it. The way of kings. Hi. I forgot to put lipstick on. We're doing this big book. I only have 2 little pots here, and I've done it at almost exactly the same width. There's 2 there, believe it or not. There's 2. How exciting. This is going to be tough for me today. I'll tell you why. This book. Hold on, I'm not even in the group yet. Oh, I've left everyone out and about. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hi. Oh, hi.
Fine.
I've just forgotten to do. I was trying to book my mum flowers, everyone. Hello.
That's nice.
That's lovely.
I mean, you've got to do it. If you've got a mum or if you've got a good relationship with your mum, then you got to get her some flowers.
I'm not getting my mom anything. She's on the beach right now.
My mom is dead, so.
Well, listen, I did. What was the first thing I said, Jimmy? I made sure that I was inclusive of people that do. You know, if you do not have a mum, I've said that, or if you do not have a good relationship with your mum, you do not have to get flowers.
I understand.
I do understand.
I can still get my mom flowers. Just saying.
You got a haircut.
I did get a haircut.
Kind of redundant giving flowers to my mom when my sister's a florist.
Oh, flowers just don't have that
That
same
just
meaning,
makes
huh?
it easier, Terry.
Yeah, you get family rates.
It makes me look cheap.
You're like, sis, here's $20.
But
Put both our names on
appreciate it
it.
regardless. Don't worry.
My mom is chilling on the beach right now, recovering from having her knee replaced. So
Oh,
My
that's
mum
awesome.
had knee replacement surgery last year.
I'm getting her.
my mom's needed it for like
wants to
4 years.
Okay, we're talking over each other. We're doing it like it's the after show. It is the actual show. Hello, everyone. What did
Hi.
you think of The Way of Kings? It actually wasn't too big of a reading section, I noticed. It's
200
it
pages?
was quite doable. And yet, can I just share this? So funny. I didn't read the prologue somehow. And it wasn't until I was going through Fable comments where you were like, I think it was KP Dubs or Vaden, you're having a chat. You're like, I was hoping that we would see Zeth again. And I'm like, again? When did we see him the first time? And so I had to go back through and then I looked at the prologue, which is like one of the bigger chapters. And I was like, I'll just read this. Maybe I was listening and I like zoned out. Like, but it should come to me. Whole chapter didn't read it. So Panic read it an hour ago. But like to read
Now
the
the
book
story makes sense?
well, no, because I've read it so out of order that it was like this information. I mean, it's very separate. It really only did impact one of the 3 I chapters after our part 1. But I was reading that and I'm like, Zeth is the most fascinating character. Why is he just in this like tiny little chapter? No. He had a whole big portion which basically has kickstarted this revolt and why a king being dead I think is going to play a massive role into this. So Steph is like, look, I'm on chapter 8. I didn't have much time to read in the past couple of weeks. I hear you on that one. We are going to you need to be, hey, what is it? She's looking at me like, what are you doing? She's just had dinner. Avery's only on chapter 3, but she still showed up, and I respect that. We're going to do a little bit of a spoiler here. Gaia's in the chat saying, resubscribed as well for 29 months. Thank you so much for that. Saying, hell yeah. Thick book time. Steph's resubbed for 3 months in a row as well. Lovely to have you here, Steph. Appreciate that one. I've just seen like more notifications. Fiddled. It just never ceases to get me, that name. Like, just You get to pick any username you want on this platform. Jay Buntrock's just gifted a bunch of subs. Hello, Jay Buntrock. Thank you so much for that. Yoo-hoo! I get to see him as well, and he's doing these ones. Love that. You've just gifted a sub to Eric. Nope. Electric Yoshi. Tharpy23. Gaming as Art. Zapan's Revenge. Regular Kev. So Regular Kev's just set a really good temperature with name expectation. Regular Kev. Playmaker Ryu Hai. SS Vibing 8. Psychmaster 23. Tragic Slip, Tawny L, and Purple Midnight. You got gifted a sub thanks to J Bunt Rock. If you got one, say thank you. Because he's a ledge. Vaden said, yeah, but you finished Ruthless Vows already to Avery. One of the best books you've read in recent memory. Can you give us a no spoiler take on Ruthless Vows, which is our bonus book for this month?
Everything that we talked about, saying that Divine Rivals was lacking, Ruthless Vows has it.
Terry's also read it because he couldn't stop after reading Divine Rivals back in February. He's furiously nodding along. Hey, I said nodding! I didn't say noddling! That's a big win for me! Yay! I said nodding along, and it was easy. No, don't hold the applause because I said Eric instead of something really simple. Electric. So like, hold your breath. I'm not going to do so great. Katie's read Ruthless Vows too. Vows was so good. You are ruthless with those vowels in that comment there, Katie. I have not started Ruthless Vows yet. Kate's in the house. Hello, Kate. She's not. Oh, yeah, there she is. 34 months. Thank you for using your Prime. Appreciate it. Tay says Ruthless Vows. So good. Oh, my God. I can't wait to start it. The problem is I want to read it in one go. I think. Or I can read it this week, continue on with Way of Kings, and then read it again right before we talk about it. And then I'll tick off 2 extra books towards my goal. Hey, little goal check-in. Where's everyone at? What's your goal for 2024? And where are you currently at? We'll do a little housekeeping, a little check-in before we get stuck into the Way of Kings when we're going to talk about Zeth, Kaladin, and Shallan. Shallan. How are we going to say that name, you think? Shallan. Oh, there's so many ways you can do it. All right, checking in. Ruthless Vow sounds like a review of the song IEAIAO by System of a Down, if I'm being honest. Yeah, sure. Honesty is appreciated here always. I'm not sure I
Listen
understand
to the
it.
song, Maude. You'll know what I'm talking about.
I will have to listen to the song. I'll have to listen. Vaden, thank you for the bits. KP Dubs. 66 bits say party, and I'm all out of bits. Thank you for those. I really do appreciate it. We are on a level 4 hype train. What? Noise. Okay, check in. Vaden says I'm 21 out of 50. That's nearly halfway, and we're nearly halfway through the year. So that sounds like you're on par. Tay, it says goal is 10. I'm at 25. That's the applause. That's for Tay. Shallan. Shallan is the phonetic spelling of SHALLAN. All right, we'll get into that, I'm sure. Miss Nakamura says 19 out of 52. That's a little behind, no, Kate? Or is that on par? That's a little behind? How's your year been, Kate? It's ahead of schedule. What do I know? What's half of 52? Isn't it like 26? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then.
Whatever, it hasn't been 6 months yet. We're on the 5th month.
Yeah, it's
Or
only been 4 months.
24 months. Yeah, we're on the beginning of the 5th month. Yeah.
Why do I think we're nearly halfway through this year already?
Because you're very tired.
You can tell today, that I'm tired. My eyes aren't eyeing My lids look heavy. And I got bags. Tiri's saying, I look tired. I mean, it's not a competition. We can all look tired. If we want to. I've got lighting. I had a nap. I didn't get much sleep. I have a couple of partying too hard. Yeah, I did. I had a couple of champagnes, and I noticed that at the after party on the rooftop of the Noy house, where we saw the first episode of the new season of Doctor Who, I engaged in small talk, and I think I would just say random words like yes, nice, fantastic. And I was like, I can't do this. And so I had a few champagnes for social lubricant, basically. That's what I call it. I don't drink on my own. I just drink in social situations so that I sound funnier. Anyway, Darren, I feel like, Darren, you read so much. And you're saying that I've lost it. Where is it? You're saying that where is it? Chat. Why can't I see it? I started talking about Darren's score and I've already lost it.
He's a 7 out of 24.
7 out of 24. Where is it? Where did it go?
To run above Miss Necromancers. It's ahead of schedule.
No. No.
15 comments, 50 comments up.
You'd think I could see it. Oh, it's because it's changed color. That is wild. His chat was red and now it's green. What are you doing to me, buddy? I need all the help I can get today. Oh dear. Avery's halfway through, 20 out of 40. 40, I reckon you could do more than 40. What did you last year? You did 52? You did a book a week?
Last year I did 45 and I barely hit it.
Right.
So I lowered it because I thought I would have less time to read this year.
No,
and then I read the entire Murderbot Diaries series. And so now I'm ahead.
Yeah, okay. That actually bumped me up at the beginning of the year too. Little novellas, they still count. Avery said deciding to read Ruthless Vows in one go is why I didn't finish the reading for this week. Oh, yeah. Fair enough. Brad Track says, hey, look, my goal was to read more and I'm nailing it. Brad, I saw you in Fable having chat skis about this. So fantastic work there. Tiri's is 13 out of 24. Well done for that one. Catch your goal is 7? Or you've read 7? You just said 7 question mark.
I lost count. I think it's 7. I don't remember.
I mean, there's not
I
many
honestly
to
don't
lose
remember.
There's not many to lose count of.
I didn't set an official goal, and so I haven't actually been tracking. But
You
I
read
think
about
it's
7 books. Okay.
I think.
Okay, great.
Yeah, something like that.
Jimmy says, no goals. I'm just reading for enjoyment. Katie says, I'm 32 out of my 150. Katie, 150 books. What did you do last year? She's out. She's probably cooking. She's probably doing something very important. And here I am challenging her.
I'm
about her
coming.
100
Sorry.
150
I
books.
don't remember how many books I read last year, but I can go through audiobooks really fast because of this.
Yep. Well, you're a little bit behind, I think. And this is not judgment.
I'm very behind because I went through all of the Red Rising.
You did too. To catch up. You bulk read that as well, which I feel like you're carrying a burden to do something like that, an emotional burden. So well done for that. You let me know if you need any more recommendations. I'm here to help. Okay, we love that. I believe in you.
Thank you.
Jay Buntrock, you're at 27, and you didn't say goal. 27's good. Which ones have you in your favorite so far?
I think my favorite of the year so far is Poppy Wars. I really like Poppy Wars. And then I read something called Toussaint Louverture, the story of the only successful slave revolt in history. And it takes place in Haiti. It's a really neat story.
The only successful revolt in history.
Yeah. It's a graphic novel, but it's quite a good read.
Oh, wow. Is that a fiction or non-fiction?
It's probably fictionalized, but it's based on the story of that's his name, Toussaint Louverture. was a Haitian man that obviously led the only successful slave revolt in history against the French. I believe it was against the French.
He sounds like a French name. Oh, we've got a first-time chatter in here. I think it's Little Miss K says, Murderbot is great. Well, you're in good company. We love Murderbot around here. It's so funny looking on Book Talk, people wanting to talk about Murderbot, but then like they think they'll get pinged because they're literally saying the word murder on that platform. And so, yeah, I was like, I don't really think about it like that. It is just Murderbot. It's because I listen to the audiobooks. It will always be a man to me. But I mean, that's the beauty of Murderbot, isn't it? Murderbot's whatever you feel like it could be. Darren, 7 out of 24. I see it now. There it is. It's green. It's blue for you. It's purple for Vaden. Like, roll the dice with that one. Hi from England, says Connor Kent. Hello. Oh, the color's dependent on if you're in light or dark mode. I'm in dark mode, but I'm on Streamlabs. Streamlabs is a little bit... Fiddled's here! Dude, you're ruining me. You know that, right? Absolutely ruining me and my integrity and... Guy says, I've been doing that annoying thing where I'll read a bit of Way of Kings and then tell those around me about it, especially the prologue, because the twist with the king was so good. Virgil, thank you so much for using your Prime to subscribe. I appreciate you. That happened 2 minutes ago. We're just going through some things. We're like, how many books have you read this year and what was your goal? For me, I had to quickly look it up. My goal is 80 and I'm at 41. So I'm 13 books ahead of schedule. Now, I could just start flexing physically as well as verbally, because that's what I believe I was doing. I actually wonder if I should bump it from 80, because I did 92 last year, and I was like, let's be reasonable. Let's do 80. Avery, the first thing that pops up in my update is your review for Ruthless Vows. I am so pumped. And I am hoping to interview Rebecca Ross for the book series. She's got a deadline for this whole month. And so hopefully first month of June, because we're in May, apparently. Silva says, I read over 100 books when I worked at FedEx because of audiobooks. Oh, seriously. I think Aaron's not here, but Aaron would work at a call center and listen to books. And I reckon that's the way to do it. Terry, you used to be able to listen to books at work, and that dream has since changed and altered.
Yes, I still listen to book at work, but it's not 8 hours straight. It's more like 2 hours in small increments.
That's still pretty good, though. Listen when you work. Bernadette's in the chat. Hello, Bernadette. I read 1 to 11 plus the interludes. At first, it was pretty slow after the prologue. I was worried that I wouldn't get into it, and then it definitely picked up. We will talk about the pacing for sure. Kate says, I had a hard time choosing my fave so far this year. I've read some good ones. I'll say it's either The Poppy War or Dayspring by Anthony Oliveira. Can you tell me about Dayspring? I'd like to learn more about that book. Also, the Kamigawa Food Detectives was really good. I will also need to know about that, I believe.
So Dayspring is kind of like Song of Achilles, but for Jesus and Lazarus.
Interesting, but that kind of beautiful poetic prose?
Yeah, and it's also got this feeling of it, which came through even for an atheist, of how when you have deep faith, it is like a sexual love.
Wow.
It's a sexual feeling when you have deep, like that kind of all-encompassing, all-consuming faith.
Like worship.
Yeah, that it's like a sexual love. And then Kamigawa Food Detective is a sort of a collection of short stories go together. It's kind of like The Goodbye Cat or one of those other Japanese short story collections, but it's a restaurant where people go to make, like, they want to request a certain dish from like their childhood, and then but they don't remember where they ate it, so the food detective people go and try and find it to recreate the dish.
That's cute. I love that. I will say, like, I've seen some anime that's just based on food, and the way that they worship food, it's just like, it makes me appreciate food even more as well. Like, just, I've got, I ordered food in and it arrived literally 5 minutes before we went live. And so on my countertop, there is a pesto pasta that's had 2 very frenzied mouthfuls taken out of it. And it's luring me like the goddamn siren to the rocks. I just want more. Vegrel is in the chat, first time chatter. Welcome to Maude's Book Club. Hey, let's just tell you a little bit about Maude's Book Club. It's an online sci-fi fantasy. I should put my hands down because I have a feeling Tass is going to clip this and we're going to use it as promotion. And I look like I'm in my pajamas, like phoning it in. So let's talk a little bit about Maude's Book Club. It's an online sci-fi fantasy book club where we do streams and we tackle 1 to 2 books every single month. This month it's The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson and Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. We love to kind of play within books and in those genres, and they're a lot of fun, and the community is awesome. There is a Patreon where you can support Maude's Book Club because we do have a team behind it. It is a team effort to get this happening with social media content, a website, Discord, and streaming. We do 2 streams minimum, I think, a month to talk about each half of the book. In this case, it will be a quarter of the book because it's so damn big. My table shook when I put it down. In this book club, you can participate either in the chat of the streams, on Fable, which is a free app you can download and search Maude's Book Club and Maude's Bonus Book Club, and comment after each chapter of the book about said chapter. You can also join the Members Plus tier on Patreon, where right now, wonderful faces are staring back at me in a Discord call. And this is like our little book club group, as if we're all sitting in the same room chatting about the book, but we're doing it virtually online. Nice. All as well. There's also a merch tier where you can help design exclusive merch that cannot be bought. And there is a members tier where you get double entries and giveaways that we do. And I think we're about to lock in the next 1 or 2 coming up, which is exciting. And you unlock more of the Discord channels, including documents where we make notes about the books, and you can ask authors questions when we do the author Q&As. We've had some amazing authors on previously, like Patrick Rothfuss, who wrote that book. Oh, you can't see it because that's in the way. B.E. Schwab, who wrote that book. Gary Witter, who wrote that book. They've all been on the show. And Pierce Brown, who's written, you can't see him, but all of the Red Rising books. Zelda, get back in your bed. She did it. And that's Zelda. So that's kind of like the book club. So welcome. Vegrel's first time chatter says 12 out of 20, which is 12 more than the last 5 years combined. Love those results. Golf clap. Where's golf clap? We love golf clap. Golf clap. Well done. So one of my big missions, I guess, with Maude's Book Club is let's read more books. And the goal is to really try to encourage more people to read books. I feel like, especially in this day and age with social media, et cetera, oh, well, this screen, I've done something and it doesn't look right anymore. That'll do. I kind of stopped reading as much as I used to. This is definitely before audiobooks. Audiobooks got me back into listening and reading and consuming books at a much rapid rate. I used to read books all the time. There was a time before Facebook. Ooh. How old are you, Maude? Yeah. There was a time before Facebook. I would read a book a day. What else was I going to do? I remember I read Fight Club in one day. I read Ender's Game in one day. I got really big into that vampire era that we had. Just churned through all of those. It was a good time. So I'm glad, Vergral, that you are on 12 out of 20. Fantastic effort. All right. Connor Kent has highlighted a message for me to read. Say, Maude, can you please suggest some fantasy books for me as I've just gotten back into reading? Also, thank you for your review on Dune Part 2 because I had no one to go to watch it, but when I read the review, I knew I just had to go. Look, going to movies on your own, no shame in that. When we used to get heat waves in Australia, I'd just watch back-to-back movies to sit in air conditioning. I remember I watched Benjamin Button by myself, and a bunch of old ladies were out in a little outing together, and they were like, "Oh, he's so cute," and I was like, "Sis, Brad is so hot in this movie," so that was fun. You just make friends. Basil's here. Hello, Baz. How are ya? How's life? He waved. It reads like a very dense screenplay of a TV fantasy show, with the time jumps and the multiple characters. I can see that, and I wonder if it's easy for people to picture it because of that descriptive writing. Hold on, Connor wanted some fantasy recommendations. I feel like we could all do this. Avery says, I love going to movies alone. Basil said, Muad'Dib. Yep, Muad'Dib. Kate says, I always go to movies alone. Darren says, me too. Yeah, I love it. I love a good movie alone, especially if it's like you can focus, you know? All right, so fantasy books to get back into reading. The number one book I'm going to recommend is a sci-fi book because I think it is a really good re-entry point to read, and that is Project Hail Mary. I recommend that because it is the highest rated and most well-received book in this community. And I think the greatest thing about a community is that you have a very vast range of people with different tastes. Kate likes reading horror books. I can't stand horror, but I will learn about horror books from Kate because I know I'll never read them. All of us loved Project Hail Mary. So start there. We would die for Rocky. Absolutely, K. Frito. It is just as good as an audiobook as it is reading. So that's a really great one. Bernadette says The Name of the Wind. I think it is a beautiful book. I would read this one once you've gotten the taste of fantasy and you're itching for a fantasy book. And I don't know if it's the best re-entry book because it is also incredibly big. How many pages is this one? Oh, this is so pretty. I'm so sorry, but it's like almost handwritten notes about all of the exchange rate, the currency. Isn't that so pretty? Pages, Maude. How many pages though? 720. So that's like another dark age. Nice one here. What's a good fantasy book recommendation, everyone? For someone getting back into reading fantasy.
Black Sun is an easy fantasy read.
Black Sun's a lot of fun as well. What are you doing, camera? You just keep getting out of focus. I'm not even.
He could try. Sorry. He could try Rhyria Revelations, Theft of Swords, Michael Sullivan.
What's it called?
Rhyria Revelations. It's about a pair of thieves. Yes.
Ryrie is way too close to ruh-roh, that's how I heard it. I heard it like Scooby-Doo, but I probably just totally minimized an incredibly impeccable book, haven't I?
No, it's pretty good.
Okay.
It's not like, The Way of Kings long, so it's a nice, easy one to get into. Pair of thieves get set up, and they're trying to clear their name.
Okay, I like. Circe, great. That is a ancient Greek mythology type book that I think is just so beautifully written.
The 5th season was something that got me back into reading because there was I read 5th season I think back in 2018 2019, but I hadn't read a book out of my own free will for like 4 maybe 5 years before that, and then
okay,
I read 5th season. The unique thing about it compared to most books is that it's written in second person, so you have someone saying, like, describing everything in terms of you, which was, and it was done in a very conversational way. And I read the book as part of like a book club among friends, and then I finished the trilogy on my own. Meanwhile, the book club moved on to other books. So
That's great, though. I mean, that's a real story about a book that got you back into it. It's been on my list for so long. I'd love to get into that one. 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. Avery's saying read Murderbot. All Systems Red is a novella to start with. It is sci-fi as well by Martha Wells. We've read the first 4 or 5 with this book club. Really fun, really entertaining, quick reads. You get quite invested quite quickly. I agree with that one. Now, KP Dubs is saying, Maude, I know you're not a fan, but I loved Robin Hobb's Assassin's Apprentice and that whole series. Look, I feel like I'm in the minority for not loving that book. It is so championed across all corners of the internet. So, you know what?
I found it boring as shit. So
It was boring as shit, wasn't it? I really found it so boring. But people love it. It could be the book. I don't think it's like 100% guaranteed, which Project Hail Mary, well, you're 100% guaranteed to like it. All Systems Red, it's pretty much flawless. Like, it's so hard to not like that book. Dungeon Crawler Carl. Now, this is a series that is just fun and feel good. So, Fiddled, right up your alley. You're a nerd. I feel like you would absolutely love that series. If you listen to it, it's a gift. If you listen to Dungeon Crawler Carl, the series, it's a true gift. It is so wonderful. For a gamer, Terry says, yes, Dungeon Crawler Carl is the best recommendation. Pianki, hello Pianki, says, I didn't like Assassin's Apprentice or the trilogy either. Okay, so that one's a little split. Aslan says, okay, I'm going to personally champion The Temeraire by Naomi Novak, even though Maude didn't like it. Yeah, I thought it was a little dull. It just didn't grasp me. Little Miss K says, standalones like A Song for Arbonne or the lines of Al Rassan from Guy Gabriel K. So good. Susie says, I love anything Tolkien. I hope this is helping. I hope this is what's gonna light a fire under your butt. Epstein says, Mistborn is what got me back into fantasy years ago. We did that trilogy with the book club. It is a little heavy, but a solid read. The science-based and metal-based magic system is incredible. Connor says, thank you so much for all the recs. There you go. And SS Vibing 8 got a gift sub thanks to J Bunt Rock and then followed. How cool is that? Welcome to the community. We're just vibing here as well. Toast Poster says 6 of Crows is a fun, easy read. I love 6 of Crows. I absolutely love that book. A couple of people didn't love it as much as me, and I will never forgive them for that. So I love that book. K Frito is saying, there's a conversation about listening to books. Kate was saying, I would not recommend Way of Kings to someone trying to get back into reading. It is too big. Mistborn would be a better bet for Brandon Sanderson book for trying to get someone back into it. Big books are just too intimidating when you're not used to reading. Absolutely. J Buntrock says Ready Player One is a good book to get you into reading. Super fast read, page turner. It hooks you in. I agree. And Epstein said, recommending a series that is likely never to be finished is something that I would never do. There you go. That's, yeah. Brad Track says Graceling by Kristen Kashaw is also interesting and fun. I love that book. Vaden, did you ever read it?
Yeah, I read the first book, and I was really surprised how much I liked it. Like, it's a
I
really
liked
well-written
it.
book. Yeah.
I think I read it for the first time about 14 years ago, and I just remember loving it. And so I re-listened to it because I'd only read it the first time. I listened to it last year. I was like, yeah, it still slaps. It's so good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Avery says the whole Grishaverse series is how I got my sister into reading as much as I do. Love that. I got my whole family into Project Hail Mary. They were like so stoked that I got to interview Andy Weir as well. Like that was so cool. By the way, I interviewed Andy Weir about Project Hail Mary, Artemis, and The Martian. You can check out the full interview on the VOD right here on Twitch, and there's clips all on socials. So cool. Okay, we got to get into this book. Fresh out the gate, give me your first impressions. What are you thinking of The Way of Kings? We are talking part 1 and the, what do we call them? The interludes after. it's up to chapter 11. We stopped at 12. So everything up until chapter 12. Fiddled says, how or where do you get some of your reads? How or where do you get some of your reads? I have Audible. I have Libby, which is an online free app where essentially you sign up to a library and you use that library card to get access to Libby. I don't even think you need proof of the library card because I don't think I did when I signed up. So definitely do Libby. It's like a virtual library. So if there's like only a certain amount of copies, and sometimes there's like an 8-week wait, and you only get it for 3 weeks before you have to return it. But it's so cool. Yeah. So that's kind of I listen to most of my books now, and I have a couple of local bookshops nearby that I like to go to. Okay, so first impressions. We're already 40 minutes into this stream. God, you can tell I don't want to talk about this book, huh? Toaster Poster, kicking it up with you. 3.5 out of 5 so far. Solid book so far, but very slow pacing. Katie says, as a reread of Way of Kings, I'm catching up so much more and understanding more. I think straight out the gate, this is a double reader. I have a feeling you have to read it twice to kind of really get it. And I want to talk about if that's a good thing or a bad thing. There is so much happening in this book. There is a lot of characters with very unique and different stories. We've seen that in previous books that we've covered with Maude's book club, like Black Sun. You follow the adventure of separate people doing very different things, and they somehow come together, or maybe don't even. But I have found that with time jumps and extensive world building, I'm a little lost. Lisa says, I can't hear you, but 5 out of 5. Haha. You can't hear me because you're not doing spoilers, or my mic's not good? Oh, because you're at Cirque du Soleil. Oh, how exciting. Darren says, I wasn't sure if I was going to read it again, but I started. It's currently my 3rd read. Whoa, I'd love it. So, Darren, did you notice a difference in enjoying it more the second time? Was it substantially different reading it for the second time? Basil's like, hey, I'm at a 2.5 to 3 out of 5. I think it started really strong and then devolved by the end of part 1, and the interludes picked up my interest again. Susie's saying so far it's a 4 out of 5. Kate's saying it's a 3.75 out of 5. I'm enjoying it, and I haven't been confused or anything, but there is sometimes too much details about useless things. For example, I don't give a fucking fuck about the money. Oh, I thought that was a really cool thing. Okay, we'll talk about that. And not enough about the other things, which might change. Miss K says 2 out of 5 so far. It's readable, but I feel like it will take another 200 pages to even start to get to the point. Crank Mantis, first time chatter. Welcome. First time. Welcome into the group. Crank Mantis. I like that username. It's like a cranky praying mantis is what I picture. This is my first reread as well. I'm catching so much more too. It is a slow start, but it's so worth it. My favorite series, and it keeps getting better. KP Dubs is giving it a 4 out of 5 thus far. Katie says, I think the book becomes more interesting as more characters are introduced. Bernadette saying, so far it's a 3.9 out of 5. Avery says, look, I'm only on chapter 3, but I'm interested so far. We'll see how I feel in another couple of 100 pages, though. KB Dub says, their money is also their magic. The gems store the Stormlight. Magic is their currency. That is the big deal. That is the big deal with it. That is the big deal with it. What do you think? Can you help me with that sentence? That is the big deal with it? That's the big deal with it. Okay, cool. It's just because you said deal with it, and it sounded like that was a deal with it. But no, that's the big deal with it. Got it? Darren says, it's been a while since the last reread, so I'm trying to remember which events are in which book. Brad says, 4 out of 5. I'm intrigued by what's going on in the story so far. The Fable app is helping with that. Massive eyebrows for the win. What is the massive eyebrows thing? Did I miss something with massive eyebrows? Who's got that? Jay Bun Roth's doing this. Who's got massive eyebrows? I have a
The
feeling I've
Thalen-
missed a lot.
The Thalen people. So the captain of Shalon's
Oh, Yalb?
Shalon's ship in Yalb, yeah. So it was a little funny to visualize, but like their eyebrows, the hair is growing as long as like this hair. So then they style it so like you have eyebrows that are like going like they're like pulling it behind their ears and hooking it up. Or I think there was one character, might have been I think the when Shalon goes to the bookstore, I think there's like one of the characters in there like the eyebrows are styled to like be gelled and go straight up like they're a fan.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I might be mixing that up. Someone else can correct me, but yeah, that's what they meant by the eyebrows. Like, it's really disconcerting to think about, but it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Just hook it behind your ears.
I listened to the first part and then I read the first part. I missed so much listening to this book. I have said it before. I will say it so many more times again. Michael Kramer as a narrator gives me the shits. I tune out. I don't listen. I don't care. It's virtually monotonal. There's no difference with anything. And I'm pretty sure he made the bad guys sound Australian, and that is just a personal attack. So, Michael Kramer, you and I, we've got, I'm throwing hands, Sorry, but I don't know, you're very successful. You've read a lot of books, especially in the fantasy genre. Aslan says, I don't think that's what gives me the shits means, Maude. It's a saying in Australia, and like, it didn't register until I've been saying it in America, and people would like check to see if I was shitting myself.
This reminds me of a friend. I met him like 2 years ago, and he's Australian, and we were talking about I think pasta and marinara sauce.
Yeah.
And he was confused because he knew marinara as like a seafood dish.
It is, yes.
And then we were like, no, the tomato sauce. And so we had to bridge that divide because we didn't know that's what he meant and he didn't know what we meant.
The first few years living in America, I did not have a pasta with marinara sauce because I thought it was a seafood sauce, and I missed out. But like, it's different names for things. Like spaghetti bolognese, spag bowl. Why would you not call it spag bowl? It's right there. Kate's just found a way to shit on me. Australia has all kinds of dumb bogan sayings. All right, you're on my shit list, Kate, for this show. Academic, you've only just jumped on. I'm yelling at you straight out the gate. Did you do all the readings for this? Is this your first time or second time reading The Way of Kings? And what's your first impression?
I've read it before, and I did none of the readings for it. I must confess. So, what chapter are we stopping at?
12.
12. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're not far in at all.
No, we're not. We're not.
I'll be quiet. I will just say that I love this book. It's probably one of my favorites series from Brandon.
I love it. Okay. Catch is saying it's a 1 out of 5. Shrugs. Sorry, not sorry. You're not loving it? You look very defeated.
This book bores the ever-loving shit out of me.
I think that's fair.
I can't bring myself to.
You're not going to say anything about ever-loving shit out of him? I can't say shit.
Sorted 10,000 baseball cards rather than read this book.
Wow. Hold on, just to kind of get perspective on your taste.
32 pages in. It bores the fuck out of me.
Okay, well, 32 pages. That's like not even a percentage of the book.
How boring this book is. I do not want to read it. I'm not saying it's bad. It's well written. It's just boring.
Did you read Mistborn?
No. This is the first Sanderson I've ever even picked up, and it's terrible.
That's the problem.
I just can't bring myself to read it.
You can't start Sanderson on this book.
I started Sanderson on this book, and I absolutely loved it. But I also got past 32 pages before I tried to give up on it. So that might be where the difference is.
I'll probably keep reading, but it's going to take a lot for me to dig up the motivation to do it.
You are
That's fair.
getting a lot of heat in the
Oh, I
comments.
know.
But I mean, this is the thing. There's a variety of different things. So, Catch, what was a book that you did love?
There's been a lot of books that I did love.
What's like a big one that we would know, just so we can understand your tastes?
Well, okay, so I obviously Red Rising, Project Hail Mary, Black Sun I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Poppy War. I mean, that's kind of my pace. Obviously, if you've seen pictures of my bookshelf, I have a giant collection of Star Wars EU.
Yep.
That's my pace. But this book is just it's a drag.
I have a
look.
theory as to why. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, I just really quickly, I really want to echo Avery's sentiments. If we all had the same opinions, this book club would be so boring. Okay, he says exactly. I love hearing everyone's thoughts. Terry is saying right there with you about Sanderson's writing, Catch. It's not for me. This is fantastic. Other people are saying like maybe try. What was it? Bernadette said. 32 pages. Come on, at least give 150. So, Catch, could you give us at least 150? Because Bernadette's. I'm reading between the lines, and she said please.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. It will be very difficult for me to get to 150 pages by the 16th when we do the next stream. And part of that is because, like I said, I just don't want to read it. And part of that is because I have 3 different active projects at work. So I'm like, I'm working right now.
My condolences.
So part of it is just busy, but I have not enjoyed reading this book at all.
All right, Baz, I want to hear this theory.
I think that he presents a lot of interesting ideas, and the reason why I use the word devolve in like the Twitch chat is like, okay, you start off with like these kings, and they're like, we're dissolving this pact. There's like, I don't know if this is like a spoiler, I haven't read ahead, but like the implications of like a time loop, and then it's like, oh yeah, 4,500 years later, and then it's like the murder of a king with a combat sequence.
That's
and
a great
then
combat
it's
sequence too.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh yeah, you're focusing on this 15-year-old dies at the end, and then after that, it focuses on the 2 characters. And so it was a very strong start, but then with Brandon Sanderson, there's like, it's very dry. Someone has said this, I think, in a previous discussion. His writing is very dry, so it's sort of like there's no pizzazz. There's nothing to look forward to in his writing when the plot isn't really moving at the pace you want it to. So it's like a nice little like, okay, you're being fed details about this world. Some of these details he'll expand upon, like the money. Some of it's like the Parshmen, the Parshendi. These are people that have black and red marble skin. I'm like, I want to hear more of that. We don't hear more of that at all. We're focusing on like, Kaladin's inner struggle and Shallan's like finagling of the queen. But like it's told in such a dry way that like you are like, this is like an interesting thing happening on the page, but you don't feel it in the way that I would say, like, even when I would say reading Artemis or reading the Poppy War, they're written in a way where like even though there's not a lot happening, you sort of feel like maybe the urgency of the character, or like, how they're thinking when they're doing this very boring thing. I would say that after the beginning, the only 2 times where the author's writing really gripped me was how Shallan was waiting for the queen in her alcove, and like how she thought about painting and like capturing memories, and like the hint of like photographic memory, and like how it's like, oh, this is someone I want to remember forever. I'm gonna write it down. I was like, okay, that's really well written. That's like something notable about the author. And then the next time was one of the interludes with Ishik, where it's like, oh, this is like a much more casual character, and it reflects in how the writing goes. And then it just
changes completely.
Yeah. So it's oscillating between like really dry and then like these spurts of like identifiable style from the author. So then once like after the first chapter, it does get very boring. I was sort of sitting there and I was like, this feels like a chore compared to most like other books I've read with
A lot of people
all
agreeing
of
in the
you.
chat as well. There's a lot of nodding. Academic, you want to weigh in on that too?
Yeah, I love everything you said there, Basil. The way that I sort of shaped my thinking about the dryness of the book, because I agree with you. If you look at it from the point of view of someone who's consuming media, it's so dry. But what I think Brandon is doing, this is what I think of his world building tactic. What I think he's inviting us into is to act as if we're in the world. And so when he introduces concepts and things to us, he's introducing to us as if we're someone who ought to know these things already. So like we should know that Pershendi are black and red with mottled skin, right? Like that, who doesn't know that? Or that creme covers everything. Like that's obvious. And so the world building tactic here is, okay, you already know this, but as readers, we don't know this, and we're trying to build this world together as if we're in the world. So it when I made that change as I'm now a detective trying to understand what the world is like, then I'm like, okay, now I'm bought in.
Do you think though that can isolate the reader? Like Tim is saying, is just not really connecting, and it's quite boring because there is a lot of info dump as if you're supposed to know. And I know that I find myself almost detaching a little bit and be like, well, if you're not going to tell me, it's not up to me to figure it out. So I guess I'll just keep reading. That's why I like kind of read it twice, because I do feel like I actually did miss the prologue the first time completely. Which
Maude, do you feel that way maybe because there's not a particular character to anchor yourself to? In the way that like there's like a few different plot lines and the book shifts between them, but you don't know who to anchor yourself to?
It's not even sort of anchoring to a character. It's so layered where it's like, I'm going to introduce you to a character. I'm going to build the world around this character. And then I'm also going to introduce you to the class system with it that surrounds that character. And then I'm going to tell you his personality and relationships with other people. And you're like, okay. And then you do it again. And it's new information with new, areas or people or culture. And it's just such an info dump that I'm like, mentioning places, like I haven't gone back to refer to the map. I'm like, you know what? If it's cold, they'll be wearing, hopefully, fur. And if it's warm, they're wearing whatever, or they're covered in dirt, which means they're poor, or, the light eyes. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just sort of like piecing it together, but reading it twice. There's a map, says Aslan. Oh, there's so many.
Because I agree with Academic's point. Like, I think it's actually sort of giving you facts about the world, but not explaining all of them. I do think it's a good storytelling approach that should be used judiciously. And I think Sanderson is. It's more just I have tools to, or not. I've sort of developed a way of reading where it's like, okay, I can remember that for later. But I could also see like, it's not like I'm seeing I'm learning about the Parshendi through Kaladin's eyes or Seth's eyes in a particular way. Which is why I sort of said it reads like a screenplay. Like, it's like, oh, I feel like this is a very strange comparison, but it's like Stranger Things. Like the story starts off, something kicks it off, and then you're following a few different characters, and I can tell like a lot of my concerns will be assuaged in the later books because like you have all these three plot lines usually in Stranger Things that all converge by the end. That's sort of why I was asking the question earlier about, is it because there's no anchorage point? Because I think a lot of the good stories we've read recently that I've liked, there's a good anchor point, even if not everything gets explained.
Agree. And I like your screenplay analogy because it's like end scene, cut to, so I get that completely. Some great comments coming in. I'm going to go to the chat. Shower Dogs, thanks so much for the follow. Greg MKE, first time commenter, saying, all right, I wasn't going to comment, but Stormlight is such a good series. 32 pages is nothing. The characters have such a depth. Kate was saying, I feel like Sanderson's writing saves the size. Most of the time, they are verbose to the point of madness. But Sanderson's writing is zippy. even if it could be edited a lot more. I agree that this isn't a good Sanderson book. I feel like a ton of people read this and love it because they had faith in Sanderson after Mistborn. I also want to point out that Avery earlier was saying it's all right, you can be friends with Feyre and talk about Watery Boughs. Always a good time to talk about Watery Boughs if you're Feyre. Crank says, I also started Sanderson with this book. I was very confused at the start when I first read it, but if you stick it out, it is so worth it. Vaden says, the cultures are so different from one another. I love it. I do too. KP Dubs gifting some subs to Bernadette and Greg. Welcome to the community. Check out your new emotes. Thank you, KP Dubs, for making people feel very, very welcome here. Shower Dog says, I kind of don't get the positive assessment of the writing. Bernadette says, I think the story is very engaging and I'm interested to see how it will come together. I could do without him describing every single body movement and attack in the fight scenes. Kate says, as someone who's picking this up as my first real fantasy after getting super burnt out on fantasy, I'm still enjoying it even though it's slow. I do like Sanderson's writing, but I have to get in the right mindset to pick up the book since it's so fat. Terry says, not convincing me to pick up the book. He's not going to read it. Rogue Leader says, I mean, this is Rogue Leader. That's a name I've not heard in a moon's age. I mean, this is literally the establishment of what's going to 5 massive book arcs. Okay. Lindsay earlier said, well said, Basil. There you go. Toast Post says, yeah, the world is the main character and the people are a means to navigate the world. Well said, Toaster Poster. I like that. Crank says, he drops you in and you figure it out as you go. I enjoy it because it's like putting together the pieces of a puzzle. Katie says, info dumps are important so you can understand the characters so much more. Kate says, even though Jazda was my favorite character in this part, my fave section was absolutely the bridge run. That part was crazy. It just reminds me, it's like, if you think it's like the worst it can ever be, no, it can always get worse. It can always get worse. Bernadette says, agree, it's kind of written like a screenplay with exposition. There you go. Katie says, I think the bridge run, you start to see the true Cal. Curious D is on a 15 stream streak. What? Blue Crayons has just followed. Hello, Blue Crayons. How are you? Welcome to Maude's Book Club. We're talking about The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Cherry says, a bit too much info at the same time can be a drag. I like authors that sprinkle information about a character depending on what they're facing or doing or feeling. Lindsay says, this is my first Sanderson book and I didn't think I would like it, but I'm enjoying it so far. It's a bit more like homework to keep on track, but I'm picking it up. Rogue Leader is subscribed for 10 months. Says, hey, yeah, it's been a minute, but this is a book I've wanted to read for so long. It's so awesome to get to do it with you guys. Thank you so much, Rogue. Appreciate that. Blue Crayon says, I've not read Way of Kings, but enjoyed the recent Q&A with Pierce Brown. Oh, thank you. Yeah, look, this has been on my to-be-read list for 7 or so years. It's so funny because I missed the prologue somehow. I went from reading the book to doing the audiobook, and I just skipped a really important chapter, part of this book. I actually remembered it from 7 years ago when I attempted to read it for the first time. I was like, oh, that's right. That opening prologue following Zeth, who we discover is a slave, and he's not like many other people, but he's been assigned a duty that he cannot not do. He's obliged to do it, magically so, with the Oath Stone is my guess. But we also find out that he's got like ancient powers, and these powers are freaking cool. Stormlight. This is the Stormlight archives, and we're learning what Stormlight is. Now, it's magic that can be infused into gemstones. That's their currency, but it provides light as well. And it also is the energy that he can channel into his body. Now, there's so many like different parts of media that I've been kind of taking on with this. Remember how the end of season 1 Avatar in the water tribe, when it gets attacked by the Fire Nation and Aang goes really big, and it's like anytime he goes into He's like Avatar state. He's got like the white eyes and like light is bursting out of him. I was like, oh, that's what I think that this is. He also can do things called lashings, and there's 3 types of lashings, and you're working out all this information during the fight. It's kind of like he can manipulate gravity, so he can stand on a wall, on a ceiling. He can also change objects or like fasten objects into place. And he can also summon a shard blade. Now that is so fucking cool. Like I love that kind of thing. And where he summons it from, we don't know, but it's like always covered in condensation. So you're like, oh man, that's really cool as well. It can cut through anything. So the shard blade's like a lightsaber, except it can't penetrate a shard's plate armor, which we're learning about at the same time as well. D Jambies, hello, thanks so much for the follow. We're talking about Way of Kings. J Bunt Rock says, yeah, Zeth chopping souls out was my jam. Oh, there's a prelude, then prologue, then chapter 1. All right, sorry, I'm going straight into the prologue because I've only just read it an hour and a bit ago. Basil says, I'd recently been thinking about how gravity is an understand combat mechanic in sci-fi media, and that chapter scratched that itch. Katie says that's a perfect explanation for how it looks when they're using their stormlight. Yay! When it goes through flesh, it doesn't cut, but it robs the flesh of soul and thus kills it. How cool is that? Where is this shard hanging when it's not being used, says Katie Brush. That's the question I want answered. Baden says the lashing from Seth reminded me a lot of Mistborn's Allomancer powers. I mean, yeah, you can project, push and pull, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, same universe. When I didn't read the prologue and just read the last chapter with Zeth in it, I thought he was a lot like Sazed. Remember Sazed? We loved Sazed, didn't we? From the Mistborn series. Yeah, he's nothing like that, really. Because I didn't read the first chapter. The prologue... Prelude, sorry. 4,500 years ago. The catastrophic war, known as the Last Desolation, ended when mankind fought victoriously against their enemies known as the Void Bringers. Devastated by the war and mass casualties, Kalak, a herald, rendezvous with the king of the heralds, Jezrien. All other heralds have apparently renounced their oath pact and abandoned their shard blades. Jezrien and Kalak leave their legendary swords, shard blades. Kalak feels guilt for abandoning the 10th and last herald whose shard blade is missing. So are we led to believe that this shard blade, the missing shard blade, has been reproduced, or that shard blades are getting shard blades? That sounded weird when I said it. No.
So I when I read the passage, I specifically made note because I thought it said these 10 had blades, which are a step above shard blades. Is that what everyone else read too? Because I remember they were talking about how, oh yeah, 8 of the 10 blades are in the ground. They're a step above shard blades, and I was like, oh, okay, so this will be important later. And then we actually see shard blades in action, but I don't know if maybe I read it wrong and they were just regular shard blades too.
Or the blades are the shard blades?
No, it's like the blades are a step above shard blades, and then what we've only seen so far in present time is just shard blades.
Yeah, there are 2 different kinds of swords. There are shard blades, and then there are what are called honor blades. The guys you're talking about at the beginning are using honor blades.
Keep talking.
So they've got the honor blades, but what you're seeing so far from people like Dalinar, he's got a shard blade.
Yeah,
which are
so
not
I wonder
explained
if
yet.
They're called. Well, I wonder, since I haven't read ahead, so I don't know if it's a shard of the honor blades. So everyone has like these little pieces of the original honor blades, maybe.
Oh, I see.
Now, this oath pact, do the blades bind them to the earth so they get born again into the universe?
Oh, that's pretty smart.
Is that what that is? That's what I took from it. I did. I got a forkful of pesto pasta. That's exactly why I ducked off. I'm so hungry. The light eyes use honor blades and the dark eyes use other shard blades. No, dark eyes actually can't even hold a sword. They can only use spears. All shard bearers are light eyes. Rogue Leader earlier says the prelude with the knights giving up their oath. I wonder if the place of fire, damnation, isn't another one of the planets in the Cosmere system. In the Lost Metal book, we learn that it's possible to travel from planet to planet, and that's where the blade comes from. Ooh. Katie says these blades are from the heralds. They are special. Okay, well, that's what the prelude is. I just noticed, though, that, the TikTok where it's like every time someone's reading a fantasy book and it's like, and then I went into the forest of where I met with yeah, it's kind of like that with names like Kalak, Jezrien. You're like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. We spoke about the prologue with Zeth, a Shin man who's cast out by his people and condemned to obey his constantly changing masters, is sent to assassinate the king of one of the world's most powerful nations, Alethkar, otherwise known as. As the story progresses, he continuously changes hands, doing his best to hide the fact that he possesses an honor blade. So this is the honor blade that we're the differentiating blade, an honor blade from a shard blade. A mythical blade used by the heralds that can cut through any material. He also possesses access to powers that are no longer available to normal humans, the Surge Binding. Once possessed by the Knights Radiant and thought lost, making him incredibly difficult to defeat in battle. I loved the Brandon Sanderson setting the vibe of this. This felt like a movie. This felt like Assassin's Creed. It felt like you could hear and see even like the small side characters. He does such a great job of placing you into this. That's the best one. Placing you into this moment. A fun little twist here, though, is that he thought that the bodyguard, who was incredibly skilled, and a bladesmith, I suppose, is actually the king in disguise. So seeing and learning Zeth's sort of like calculating understanding of this, like he's in the throes of battle and yet he's still piecing things together. I thought we learn a lot about Zeth in that particular way. We learn about his powers and what he has access to. It was a massive info dump in the throes of action. Very difficult to do. I really enjoyed it. Prologue, thumbs up. Yeah. Tim, does that sound exciting at all? Or did you already read that?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Okay, that's the answer. That's all I needed to know. We then move on to it happens. Thank you, Jay Van Rock. 6 years later, after this, so the king has been killed. He was left with a message. I really liked as well that understanding of honor. Like, even though he's like a slave who cannot make money, who has to do anything he's ordered to do except he can't take his own life. When the king gives him a dying wish, he's like, I'm obliged to see this through, which I thought was like, this is the gray area. It's like, he's not a bad guy. He's a trained assassin. It's like, are we vouching for him? He's killed the king. That's regicide. The Assassin's Code, says K. Frito. Yep. And I'm sure it like ticks off the chain of events that we will hopefully learn about. Yeah, everyone's giving the prologue thumbs up. Cool. We meet Kaladin. Now, I think I stumbled upon this in a TikTok, and I really want to fact check it, I guess live. And that is that Henry Cavill himself has asked Brandon Sanderson that if this ever gets made, he wants to be Kaladin. And his dog's name is Cal. Oh, it's Superman's birth name.
Considering how much of a nerd Cavill is, I'm sure that's true.
I mean, if I could, I can't like him any more than I do. He's just perfect.
I feel like Cavill is working on 40K though, isn't he? I think he's working on Warhammer.
Yeah, but I'm also hearing that he's possibly going to walk away from that because they're not sticking to the source material as well.
Oh, okay. Well,
God damn it.
I don't blame him there.
So I can't see a site or a source cited for that, but because I stumbled across the fact that Henry Cavill said he wanted to play Kaladin, I cannot picture anyone else, and it has been such a delight to read this as Kaladin, as Henry Cavill. Problem is, it's very, very important that Henry Cavill needs brown eyes for this particular role because the eyes are very important. Okay, so world building with this. Kaladin's in wars. He's got a smaller sect of soldiers who are so experienced that they don't play by like the major sort of soldiers' rules, whereas following a formation, Kaladin's got his own. He is revered. He is called the Storm Blessed, and he's almost like godlike in war, where I think he shines the most. Something that I spoke about in the fable was like he purchased a young boy from another part of the army so that he could look after him. And I was like, obviously there's something here, whether it's a past life trauma or he feels responsible. But like when you say the sentence out loud, sounds sus. But I don't think it's nefarious at all. Oh, Kaladin's so young though, says Jay Buntrock. Can Cavill pass as a 19 or 20-year-old? No, not anymore.
No.
What were you going to say, Vaden?
Oh, just yeah, like they mentioned that like a lot of the like Catalans they use their money to bribe people to do things like they're together to get help for their soldiers or to, like in this case, Kaladin bribes like to get that kid on his team squad just to protect him because he gets the youngest people, the most vulnerable people, and puts them in his squad so he can keep them alive.
And it didn't work.
not in this case, I guess, but
yeah. Oopsies. What do we think of Kaladin? Obviously, he's like ripped. I get very sort of 300 vibes from all of this. He's got a shorter spear as his weapon. This guy's a beast on the battlefield. But not only that, we're learning about, I think it was Rotspren that was one of the first Spren that were mentioned. Windspren. There's a bunch of different Spren that have been listed. But like we're learning about these like small sprite type creatures that are tailored towards either an emotion or like a physical thing. Creme, all that creme. Okay, I can see the smirk when you write things like that. Like the first Spren was fear. Thank you. The fear Spren. So it's like they circulate around like emotion, or there's like, you know, river, wind, water, heart, the planet. What do we think about that? Because it's like they're everywhere. It's like flies almost. But we haven't actually sort of seen in this chapter anyway the point or purpose of them. Because it's like
at this point they're mostly just flavor.
Yeah,
if I were to
like,
pick again, I would say that if we're talking about Kaladin, that because Kaladin is a dark eye, which is probably the lowest of the low, hence why he's an assassin. You know, so he's probably just like that person that gets commissioned by more wealthier people to do the dirty work for things. He's like the cleanup crew, basically. That's what my logic is.
Yeah. Yep. But he wants to be promoted to like actually serve in a stronger part of the war.
Well, hopefully he does. Well, it's the beginning of the story, of course.
Yeah, we know he doesn't. Womp womp. Rogue says, Spren was the one concept that I looked up in the wiki to get a better understanding of what was going on. I'm good at taking the information as Sanderson deems us to know it, but I had to get a better picture of them now. From the Wikipedia and Stormlight Archive wiki, the world and magic of Stormlight. They are a small, wispy, fairy-like creature that appears when certain situations, conditions, or emotions occur, called Spren, such as Fear Spren or Wind Spren. They are seen often by most people, but some can be visible to only certain people at a time. There's a sort of energy-based light and storms. Oh, this is the Stormlight. There is a sort of energy based on light and storms that can be absorbed and stored in certain gemstones. These can be used by certain people with specific talents and training to perform magic-like effects. The light-filled gems are also used as a currency for trade. There are about a dozen races of people native to different areas in the world, and there's a hierarchy of people. Light Eyes are people who are often revered and hold positions of leadership. They are usually addressed with the honorific brightness. We've discussed it in the Discord. We like brightness as a way to refer to people. It sounds like you've got a glowing inner light. Hello, brightness. I like it.
Considering the series is called Stormlight. And it makes people glow. Just throwing that out there.
Where are all my light eyes in the chat? Who's got light eyes?
Me. I've got blue eyes.
1, 2. There's about half of us.
It's a lot.
Mine changed color. I don't know where. I don't know what I fall. My eyes change color.
Rogue's like, blue eyes over here. Silvar says,
Just to
me.
clarify, I wasn't saying that I have light eyes. I'm shaking my fist at you because technically you're higher class.
Yeah. You will refer to me as brightness from now on, please.
All right, guys, it's time for revolt.
Brightness Muad'Dib.
Yeah, no, bright eyes over here. Katie says, I'm light eyes. Bernadette says, I have green/yellow eyes. Okay, Bernadette just running circles around all of us here. Crank says, I'm just a lowborn dark eyes. And that's what it feels like to be a minority. And that's what it feels like to be lower on the class system. And I kind of like the use of eye color here because I feel like people are then thrust into another viewpoint that they haven't felt or learnt before. And Kate says it to me, light eyes was just another name for colonizer. It's kind of what it feels. It's kind of what it feels like, isn't it? Tell you what, being European with blonde hair, blue eyes, it's like I really get uncomfortable around these conversations. But like everyone's got different preferences now. Avery says my eyes are super dark brown. Ooh, I'm sorry to hear it. It's not a good day to be in this universe. I could see you being what was Zeth called again?
Honorless?
Truthless.
Truthless.
Oh, it was in the prologue. Shin Man. Not that it was Shin. It was the Radiant Knight. Yeah. Hell yeah. Little radiant light happening there. Bright Eyes was the name of Caesar's mother, and yes, that's right. 2016 Planet of the Apes. I just watched that last week with Hector Navarro. Alrighty, well, that's. Anything more about that Kaladin chapter? It moves on where he's taken as a slave also. A lot of slaves in this book. Brandon Sanderson's got like a bit of a thing for that. Mistborn. There are a lot of lower class and slave-like people.
That and arranged marriages.
He's Mormon.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then it's always the older men too.
Time? What's a sexy time? James, what's that behind you? Is that a floating balloon?
Are you talking to me?
J
No?
Bunrock. It's two Jameses.
It's a Mother's Day balloon for my wife.
Everyone, if you have a mother or a good relationship with your mother, Mother's Day is on the 12th of May. James! There are at least 3 female characters in Sanderson's books who are in arranged marriages. It's freaky, in my opinion. Yeah, what's love got to do with it? Medieval fantasy is rife with that stuff, so it makes sense, says Vaden. Yeah, look, anytime something's in history, it's just a great reminder it's never a good time to be a woman. If you go backwards. Kaladin is a slave. He's being traded. We learn a little bit more about glyphs. He's got glyphs branded into his forehead. He's been deemed dangerous. Hell yeah, I like him. But I mean, that sounds like it's going to be there forever. Kaladin initially kind of like had hope, and the hope is being depleted because of Bridgefall. James, was it J Buntrock? Sorry, was it you that posted, or was the Bridgefall tattoo in the Discord? Someone posted.
Yeah,
Bridgefall.
yeah. I heard that people love this book so much. There's a ton of people with Bridge 4 tattoos. So if you Google that, there's tons of them out there. That
For
was
a
interesting.
second, I thought it was yours. And I was like, whoa. Does anyone have a book tattoo?
Not yet, but I was thinking about getting the symbol for greens from Red Rising tattooed on
Yeah, I
me.
was about to say I know a lot of people who have them for Red Rising.
Man, that's so cool. And that's so cool. I do not. I have a video game. And I have a take on a Banksy. And I have 2 letters. Oh, this is my Red Rising tattoo. PB. That is so awkward. Where he's like, what does that mean? And I was like, not you. Yeah. Why would anyone let someone stick them with needles? It's a great question, Cape Dubs. Katie Brush says, I would also love to be / also hate to be in Bridge 4. Bridge 4 fucking sucks. And I think the thing I'm most frustrated with, and so is Kaladin, is that it's so nonsensical and wasteful. He's like, why don't they have shields if they're literally just running into a volley of arrows? Why? It doesn't make sense. And it's like, yeah, you mean nothing. And it's like, they're so exhausted at any given moment. He must get Maude. He must be getting ripped though, right?
I mean, he already was.
I know. But
You also need food and calories to build muscle, so it depends. You can work out all you want, but if you're not getting fed, you're not going to get muscular.
Yeah, I think they were getting more than the slop though. He kind of was wasting away in the wagon. Kate says, I've got so many tattoos, but only the one book one. It's a Harry Potter tattoo that I kind of regret since J.K. Rowling is now such a piece of shit that even Elon Musk is called. Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, this is why I don't really want to do tattoos. It's like those
you
people who name their children Daenerys.
You know you fucked up when Elon thinks you're shit. Like, JK. What's the tattoo? I was thinking about it with my Triforce. I was going to get a UV light of the Hallows within my Triforce. Never did that one. You got a Death Eater tattoo? Can we see that in the Discord, please? Do you have it here? That's psychotic. I love it. KVW says, I've seen people with wedding band tattoos that got divorced. Yeah. What's your Banksy tattoo, Maude? There it is. It's like a couple of things. It's like I wear my heart on my sleeve, but you know the little girl with the balloon? I was in Amsterdam, great place, and there was a Banksy exhibition. It's so funny. When I got that one done when I was like 23, and I immediately designed that one. And then 8 years later, which doesn't make sense if you do the math, I don't understand it either. But a little while later, I went to Amsterdam, saw the exhibition, and I always like loved that piece of art. But then I read the meaning behind it, and it means that there's always hope. And I am such a sucker for needing hope. We had a big discussion about that with Dark Age, where it's like there just wasn't enough hope really strewn throughout this book. I am, yeah, I think that hope is such a beautiful, necessary thing. And so I got that tattooed when I was in Amsterdam. Katie Rush says, I have an I love you tattoo in sign language. That's sweet. I pictured Gaz as Omid Jalili from The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser one. Fraser. He was the little bald guy. You put it in the community chat. Hell yeah. It really is a dark mark there. That's sick. That is so cool. Like, of course you identify as a Death Eater. That's great. Has that scared people? Has that, like, caused distrust in strangers, Kate?
No, they don't even notice, because, like, I mean, I have my hands tattooed and stuff, so they don't even notice that. They more notice, like, my hand tattoo or, like, the scar on my neck from my thyroidectomy. So they don't even notice it.
I think that would be a lot to unpack. in one glance.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that tattoo though. It is a shame about JK. I mean, I could go into a whole conversation about, I think separating artist from art is like such a complicated conversation. I grew up in a very we don't like Woody Allen household, and I've just like never questioned it. I was like, okay, we don't like him. I don't watch the movies. It's like say less, like all good. Yeah, the JK thing. It's like interesting because when I interviewed Margot Robbie, she was like, I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy. I listen to Harry Potter every single night. And I was like, ooh, like, why would you say that? Especially now. And it got millions of views and like only 1 or 2 people were like, really, Margot? Everyone else was like, yeah, love it. Oh my God, she's just like us. They're so cool. And it's like the impact that Harry Potter had on an entire generation, you can't dispute it. Like, you want to talk about the books that got people into reading. I was staying up reading it under the covers with a torch, like that book had a profound impact on me. I think it sort of like became symbolic of like escapism for an entire generation. And now I feel like it's so much more than JK. What's that, City?
Yeah, I was going to say, I used to fall asleep listening to the cassette tapes of the Harry Potter books every night. I used to have the first book, or the first chapter of Sorcerer's Stone memorized, kind of thing. Like I loved those books when I was a kid.
And it's just like, it's like I completely disagree with her views, and it's like the doubling down and like her being a poster woman for sort of like TERF views. It's really hard, especially like as a woman. I'm like, you don't speak on behalf of all of us at all. Like, stop championing this thing. I played Hogwarts Legacy and it was a freaking brilliant game. I loved it. I put a solid like 70 hours into that game and it was fantastic. They have a trans character in the game. It is way too easy. And you needed to have consequences for using dark arts magic. There's a trans character in the game. And it's like, that was a Warner Brothers studio that I'm not sure how much JK got from that or how much of a hand she had in that, but there's no way she would have put a trans character in there with the arguments that she's making. So it's like, I kind of loved that fuck you back to her with using her own property against her in a way. Like, I think that there's some brilliance in that.
It almost felt like pandering to me, honestly. Like I think it's like, oh, we did it just to say that we had it.
I think it's just a way to distance the game from her. That's all. Just saying like they don't necessarily agree.
I think if there's like a, would you rather it be done or not be done? Hand her away. Like, I think, yeah, better than no. Exactly, Gaia. Gaia and I are on the same page with this. It's like, it feels like there's no correct way to do anything. So it's like, they barely even referenced it. It was just more with the voice acting, I found, and the character design.
I didn't play Hogwarts Legacy, but for what I remember about the press, it was like people had this idea of what a Hogwarts game should be, and then Legacy delivered on it so well that people didn't really tie J.K. Rowling to it. Because I've never really heard it brought up in conversations around Hogwarts Legacy whenever I have gamer friends talk about it. So, and it's like very hard, like, that IP is what, 35 years old? Maybe, I don't know, but like, and then like, oh, you come out with the game that everyone wanted. Like, all right, no one's gonna ruin this for themselves just because of how the authors changed.
Yeah,
that's my theory.
Biggest rise and fall. It's like you get so much money, but you just don't know how to shut up. Hey, let's go back to the second part. We talked about Kaladin. Bridge 4 almost ruins him. He goes to jump a cliff, and it's this Windspren who's like Tinkerbell, yeah? Windspren, Sylphina, what's her name?
Sylphrena. Just call her Syl.
Syl is his saving grace. Syl is indicative and representative of hope. Syl, aka the good Navi. She's like, hey, listen, don't do that. Sylphrena. Katie says Syl is so sweet and amazing. What's interesting here though is that the Spren that like aren't as personified or like captivating in this particular way. Like this friend has been following Kaladin. Like
She's sentient too, which is
yeah,
uncommon. And she actually even remarks about it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it was just like commenting, like she knew his name, she knows things about his life. It feels fated, I think.
One of the things I thought that was interesting that they tease in that particular chapter is she talked about how she was going very far away so she could find this poison leaf for him. Yeah. And she almost lost herself. She almost turned back into a windspren because she was getting too far away from Kaladin.
That's what that meant?
Yeah.
I didn't perceive it like that at all. I thought that she was just like going to get on with her life.
No, she's sentient. That sets her apart from all the other windspren around her. But only when she's near Kaladin.
This makes me think of the chapter with Sen, because back then Kaladin was called Stormblessed, and Sen was watching Kaladin fight and mentioned saying like he swore he saw some sort of aura around Kaladin.
Yeah,
my theory is that was Syl. Yeah, my theory is that was actually Syl. So
shut up. That's cool.
Yeah, I have no confirmation, but I'm just like, well, it's this one passage. Now you've got a wind person sticking with wind sprite sticking with him all the time. Yeah.
Good night, Bernadette. Thank you for joining us for this one, by the way. Okay. Let's move on to Shalon. Shalon.
I just call her Shalon, honestly.
Shalon.
But that's just my American accent getting in the way.
It's so much more fun.
Shalon. Shalon. A minor light-eyed Vaden?
Yeah, they really pronounce like my name.
Honestly, I think it's Vaden.
I don't know why they pronounce like my name, but they do.
That's cool. Hold on, what color are your eyes?
Brown eyes, dark eye.
Oh.
Yeah, he's just a pleb.
Like, just so disgusted.
Shalon's family's inheritance is in danger and hatches a scheme to switch a broken soulcaster, a device that allows the user the power of transmutation, with the working one belonging to Jasna Colon, sister of the Alethi king Elika. Shalon travels to the coastal city of Kharbranth, where Jasna conducts her research following King Gavilar's death, which we now know what that was, Maude. During a meeting with Kharbranth's king, Taravangian, she petitions Jasna to become her ward, and through persistent effort, she manages to gain Jasna's confidence and becomes her apprentice. Okay, so the different things we've discovered here. A perspective of someone with lighter eyes, and how the treatment and how different their life is because of it. You learn that her family, she's the youngest of like 5 children or 6 children, and all the men in her family, like some of them have been declared dead. Sad. Apparently the whole family's estate rests on Shalon's shoulders. Her father passed away and is in debt to some what sounds like very dangerous people. It's like this is a bit of a mob side story. They have planned this scheme of theft. Basically, they're going to manipulate one of the most brilliant women in the lands and steal something from her. What could go wrong? We also learn that Shalon loves her art, this photographic memory that we've been sort of talking about. I wrote in the fable, and KP Dubs says something very, very brilliant. And KP Dubs, I want you to bring it up so that you can claim glory for this. Something that's quite interesting about memories.
Yes, in the paperback book, when she talks about the memories that she draws on paper and stuff, the word memory is capitalized. There's something special about her memories that's maybe magical or more powerful. I don't know. Losing my
I
voice. Sorry.
That's all right. Oh yeah, you've had a bad day, haven't you? You feeling a little better? Lovely that you're here. And great shirt, by the way. We love it. Oh, and Jimmy's got his on too. Have you worn that doing comedy yet? It says
Yeah,
let
I've
them
worn it during
smooch.
comedy. Someone actually
Yeah.
asked about the shirt. They said,
Yeah.
"Who's supposed to smooch?" And I said, "Anyone that wants to."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Okay."
It's all about that consensual kissing.
Exactly.
Bianchi says, I find Shallan interesting right away. Her ability to memorize a picture and then draw it without really even paying attention, kind of like in a trance. I was wondering the way that she describes something which is like when she's drawn them, she's captured them. And I know that, like, for the Indigenous people of Australia, they hated getting photos taken because they thought that it was like, you know, stealing someone's soul in a way. So it was like not a good thing to take their photo. And I kind of thought that, like, when she said that I've now collected that person. She drew Yalb. Yalb's such a character. Love me some Yalb. He's a swindler. He's a gambler, and he's on her side, and so that's important. We like that for Shallan. Yeah, Yalb just seems like so harmless and fun and great, and you know, she was getting completely ripped off with books, and in he comes with this great plan. Yalb's great, and the fact that she's like, yeah, I'm going to pay you money to just stay for a couple of hours. He's like, this is like 3 times the trip. I will stay, and he's just like, yeah, delivering. That's so cute. But when she was drawing him, you're right, she would go into this almost trance. And then when she'd done it, it was like she's like, oh, I've collected them now. This again, oh God, I watched a lot of Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it reminded me of the creature that stole people's faces and could wear other people's faces. It's the same for Game of Thrones. You could change different identities of those that you'd killed and capture sort of like the faces. Was it the House of Black and White? What was it called again? It was so long ago. You know what I'm talking
Nothing
about.
ominous about either of those references.
Right? But that's what I was thinking then when she's capturing it through art. But what's really interesting is Jasna does not appreciate art at all. It is not one of the subjects that's piqued her interest at all. She does not see it as an asset. So I think there's something there. Did anyone draw parallels between Shallan and who's my girl in Black Sun? My beautiful bisexual. What's her name again? What's her name?
Let's start with the X.
Let's start with a T.
Shala.
Shala, yeah, there we go.
And you know what? I think it's maybe the fact that they both have double L in their name. And I'm like, oh no, it's just one L. Shala. Oh well, I got Shala vibes from her. I think it's just like a bit sassy, a bit confident, can handle herself in a conversation. Swear to God, Kate. You are no longer. Can we ban the word creme in the chat?
Shallan's ability reminds me of this book series I read as a kid. It was targeted towards middle schoolers. I don't remember the name, but it was this kid detective, this girl who had photographic memory, and then the way she'd solve things is she would sort of investigate, but then like look at things and then close her eyes, go click, and she has photographic memory, and then she would revisit. Yeah, okay.
That's not Harriet the Spy.
I know what you're talking about.
No.
Is it Amelia Bedelia or something like that?
Yeah, maybe it's that. I or something like that. That's what that reminded me of. That like, oh, this is like the same concept of like she just remembers things perfectly.
Yeah. There's got to be something magical about it though. I love the trip. I love Yalb. I love learning about this culture. What a crying shame for men, because reading is considered not a very manly thing to do. In fact, it's, you know, the man who owns the store, it's like, well, he's running accounts, he's running the money side of it because that's manly, but he's not reading the books. That's his wife's job. It's unseemly. Yeah, that's wild. But like this, Brandon Sanderson delves a lot in that masculine, feminine I believe it was in Mistborn as well, wasn't it?
Sorry.
Like
What's in Mistborn?
masculine, feminine. It's like fated for a man or a woman. There's like, what am I thinking of? My brain is mush today.
Gender roles?
Yeah, but
Or-
like,
yeah, or a different
but
term
like
you're looking for.
within culture, like very predominant. I mean,
Oh,
only example I could parallel it to is like in the Spanish language. It's very much, you have a different word for feminine and masculine. Look, it's not important. The fact that there is like an apprentice kind of situation here, love that stuff. I love it when someone can learn from someone and go beyond their means. That's always a lot of fun for me. This library sounds amazing. I want to go there. A little cubby where you can grab books and you can get pulleyed up into another level. Oh, fantastic. Fiddle says, yeah, honestly, Spanish is annoying as fuck. There you go. Because of that. Yeah. Bianchi says, or like how the Voron women have to cover their left hands. They're safe hands, akin to nudity by our standards. Yeah, just one hand. And all of the garments, the left sleeve is longer than the right sleeve. So this is it. It's like there's such massive cultural world building in every facet of this book. So it's like a lot to kind of grasp. And as long as it sort of like makes sense, currency being an energy source, being a light source, like, okay, sure. Katie says, I never understand the covering of the hand. Aslan's saying, maybe you're thinking in Game of Thrones, the prophecies could reference a man or a woman because of the old Valerian is genderless. Possibly. I mean, that's another great example, so I'll include that in here. Jimmy, I'm glad you were laughing at that. I'm glad you're having a chuckle. That was an overshare, though, Jimmy. That was oversharing in the comments. Colleen says in Hebrew, men and women use different verb forms. There you go. Thank you, Colleen. I guess what I wanted to say is the questions that I have, now that we've kind of touched on all three, let's talk about this world building. What works? What's fascinated you? What needed a little bit more guidance? And did you feel lost? Who wants to go first? City says lots of religions have women covering their hair, correct?
It's tying back in with the safe hand thing.
Safe hand. Not my safe hand. Okay, Frida said, look, I felt lost in places. I felt lost in places as well. Jimmy felt lost in places. Who felt kind of lost at some stage during the first portion? Tim's hand well up into the air. Basil was a little confused. Avery's nodding.
I wasn't really like confused or anything. I just how do I describe it? I like the fact that it's a completely different world. Like the Spren, what is that all about? It's so funny.
Someone just entered the conversation saying sup nerd muffin. I just think that's
And also like just like that there's a different kind of magic to this world. Even like the plant life, like when you walk, the grass pulls itself into the ground and give you a path. So like
grass has a survival technique.
This world is nothing like Earth that we live on right now. And so because it's so different, I think it's going to take like 3,000 pages to learn all of it. And maybe that kind of writing isn't for everyone.
Sure.
But I like that. I like the learning and I don't mind it's a slow burn.
Just pitching it to the merch tier. Nerd muffin? We want that on a shirt. I'd wear it. Yeah, Katie likes nerd muffin. Baz is about. I think nerd muffin's possibly the greatest.
Put it on a
word
beanie
combo.
or a hat.
I love it.
Because we're all sweet.
Irish warthog. You've just made my night. In what fucking world did you come up with nerd muffin? Sup, nerd muffin? I love it.
Put it on a hat.
A muffin with glasses. Yeah. Brad's really wants to know, do the Chulls walk sideways? I mean, it's a giant crab-like creature, isn't it?
I mean, hermit crabs go forward.
I pictured Tuk Tuk from the dragon movie. The Disney dragon movie where they like bring back dragons. But Tuk Tuk like
How to
little
Train Your
Raya.
Dragon?
No,
Raya.
That one, Raya.
Yeah.
I remember Tuk Tuk. That's what I picture the trolls as. The like
How to Train
little
Your Dragon was Illumination. But sorry.
roly-poly kind of bug.
We do actually get a picture of a Chol.
Hold on. Let me pull this up.
It's
really
in the
cute.
Discord.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah, it's in the community chat. You might have to scroll up a little bit, or the Way of Kings chat. I think it was. Is it Way of Kings or is it Book of the Month?
Voiced by Alan Tudyk, by the way. Also, a tuk-tuk is a vehicle.
Yeah, it is.
Auto rickshaw. That's another word for it.
There it is.
Yeah, it's a hermit crab.
This is so cute. I think that's cute. I would want that. I pictured it as a crab. Pokemon. Of course, animals are immediately Pokemon to me. The Parasect. That's a chol to me. Is Nerd Muffin the antithesis to Stud Muffin? Yeah, but Muffin's is such a win. Brad said, I saw the picture in the book, but I'm ignoring that for some award-winning comedy. You saw a picture of the Chol? What page? What would it? Where's the?
It's in the Way of Kings chat in Discord. Mom.
That's that one.
Ken posted it the other day. Yeah, that's the picture from the book.
Well, now I'm gonna find it.
Between chapters 8 and 9.
Huh.
I missed it in the Kindle version.
I will save it and put it in this. I know that the audiobook actually, if you scroll all the way up, it has a PDF link, which I think is quite nice. Let me put it.
One thing about the book that makes me want to keep reading is there's something in both Kaladin's and Shallan's past that they're alluding to but haven't teased. So why Kaladin is a slave already. Like the slaver calls him a deserter, but then they have a conversation of like, well, I know you're not a deserter, but if people know what you did, then I can't sell you. So it's better to call you a deserter.
CK. That, and when the chatty guy was like, tell me your story, he's just like stops talking.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
And then like the two lines that indicate Shallan is a shard bearer. It's like, what's that about?
What?
Did no one else catch this? She's a shard bearer.
Since when?
There's like two lines where one she's like has this flashback when she's having a panic attack and she's talking about holding a shard blade, and then when she leaves the conclave
Katie, stop it. Katie's giving it away.
Huh?
Bad Katie.
She's done video up. She's doing this.
Well, I mean, but like she leaves the conclave after the second time she gets rejected, and then she talks about
the memory that came back.
Not the memory, but she talks about how the curse thing that's 10 heartbeats away. So reading from like the Seth's chapter, his thing was like Seth was like, yeah, my shard blade's 10 heartbeats away. So there's just like two lines in all of Shallan's story that indicates she's a shard bearer.
This is why we do book club. This is why I would not have known.
Yeah. And
Maybe
then
says, I missed that completely. My thing was, it's like, all right, she's got some trauma in her past. You let me know when we need to know more about this, Brandon Sanderson, because, I am. Who was it? Someone was saying that they love the fact that they're piecing together like a jigsaw puzzle. I hate puzzles. I hate them. Puzzles in games.
This is the third time I've read it, and I didn't pick that up either.
Yeah, this is a bad book for you, Mike. This This is entirely a puzzle.
I don't like puzzles.
And then with Kaladin, one thing I did pick up when he was talking with the slaver is like, "Oh, why are you here?" He's like, "I killed the Light Eyes," and the slaver's like, "Well, what's bad about that?" He's like, "I killed the wrong Light Eyes."
Yeah.
So I'm thinking he was attacking the enemy Light Eyes when Sen was getting when like Sen was watching him on the battlefield, and then Sen sees the Shard Bearer bearing down on him, and so again, this is just my theory. I don't know if I'm right. No one confirm. Kaladin actually killed the Shard Bearer, but the Shard Bearer was on his side, so that's why he's a slave now. That's a theory.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of deducing I killed the wrong one.
Yeah.
And it's not a deserter. Like, what's even worse than a deserter? Someone that kills someone on your own team.
I mean, again, like they just don't explain what. Like Kaladin's more of a mystery to me, and that's why I sort of don't like that storyline as much because I'm just like, okay, well, what happened on the battlefield? Like that explains why he's here now. Whereas with Shallan, it's like, oh, she's a shard bearer, and they've only mentioned it in 2 lines. I'd say like watching Westworld like 3 times has made me super pay a lot of attention to these minor details. So then I was just like, oh, I gotta remember that. But yeah, that's sort of like the 2 things where I'm like, okay, well, I hope this gets answered in future parts, and not just some thread that they leave hanging.
Katie says, "This is so hard. I need to keep my video off." Okay, well, Baz, you're picking up the breadcrumbs. You're picking up the crumbs.
Feel your
I'm
pain,
leaving
Katie.
them. My whole thing is maybe I'll lean into KP Dub's great pun, going the worst thing. What's worse than a deserter is an appetizer. I don't want crumbs. I want a full damn meal, and unless you're gonna feed me, I'm not paying attention. That's what my headspace is reading this book. Avery says, "Oh, this is interesting. I'll definitely be looking for these little details when I read later." Oh, woo. City's like, "I feel your pain, Katie," because they've read the book and they know. Darren says it's a lot of little courses. I mean, you just see him go like this. I think of this book like a 10-pound bag of jelly beans. My stomach already just hurts thinking of that. What did we think about the world building though? What fascinated you? Did you like the currency, the class system, the fact that the eye color is the most important thing?
The fact that it's all connected.
The fact that it's all connected.
I'm really curious about the shattering planes.
Yeah.
Because it kind of is like, okay, this is a very specific piece of land where it's like smooth but cut up, and then we get a. Actually, I won't say that, but yeah, it just seems like.
Did you read ahead?
I didn't read ahead. Okay, never mind. It's not really a spoiler. It's just that when you flip to part 2, there's a map of the shattering planes. That's it. So I was just like,
look at it.
Yeah. That it's
We're
not a spoiler.
technically
Right?
up to
I didn't mean to like keep anyone's suspense, but it was just like, oh, interesting. This is a very specific piece of land. I wonder if this is where the prelude took place or something like that.
Oh, wow. Can I show everyone? We're up to it. It's literally the next page. That's the Shattered Lands. That's cool. Oh, camera. You're really pissing me off, camera. There you go. Yeah, that looks really cool. Prime map of the Shattered Plains. In the east, one can clearly note the tower, the largest plateau of the area. War camps are visible in the west. Glyph pairs and plateau numbers have been removed to preserve the clarity of this smaller reproduction of the original hanging in His Majesty Elikar's Gallery of Maps. Shit, yeah. All right. Very craggy. Cover of the book says something.
And you understand why they need so many freaking bridges.
Yes. Got it. If you decide to put Nerd Muffin on a tea or something with cool psychedelic flower of life design, I'll buy it. Welcome to Moore's Book Club. We haven't done a psychedelic flower adjacent thing. But who's to say we won't start? Looks like broken pavement to me. I can't wait for the sky eels to come into play. Oh, yeah. Shattered Plains is a setting for a lot of the story, says Katie. Vaden's just gifted a sub to Irish Warthog. There you go, buddy. Welcome to the community. Check out your emotes. Thank you, Vaden. Aussie, oi. Or something cool looking. Are nerd muffins vegan? No, we're meaty.
Good.
Would that be a nerd muffin top? Cry. Who was it? Someone said something else about the world building that they liked. Spren. Brad Trax loves the Spren. I do think it's such an interesting inclusion. I just want to know how else it can be used. One of the thoughts that I had about the Spren is that it's kind of like a lie detector. It if you're feeling a lot of fear, it attracts a fear Spren. Like, how is that going to be used? How is that energy? I've got more questions. Fiddle says, talking about bridges, one of the few books that I've read is A Bridge to Terabithia. Hey. Sprens is friends, says Brad Trax. Love that. What did you think about the class system here? We're noticing a lot of different cultures from a lot of different regions, and like even sort of like skin color is black with red marbles in it. There's like such a gamut of incredible looks, sizes, feels, sexy left hands. What do you think about that side of things, the class system? It's always, I find, quite a pivotal part of, well, I mean, I've only read Mistborn, the first trilogy, but like that's a huge part of the books. Red Rising, the class system is a huge part of the books. What do we think about it?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting way to just differentiate the cultures, like especially because he's going to throw all these things at us, like all these names, all these places. So it gives us a reason to actually remember them. Besides just like, oh, this person lived here at one point in their life. Like now we have reasons. We have something to look at. I go, oh, now we know in the future. Oh, hey, this person covers their hand. We know they're from this region probably, and so on. So I find it a great way to distinguish everyone.
Ken actually has posted a picture of all of the. Let's have a look here. Oh, that's too many. That's just sorry, that's too many. It's fantasy. Keep it simple, stupid. All right, we've got the Shin, who right in the middle here. This is Zeth's character, void of color completely. That's the Vaden, red hair. What else have we had? We've had the Pure Laker. That's Ishik. He just seems like a simple fisherman. Have we? I don't know if we've seen some of these yet.
We haven't, for sure.
You haven't seen most of this.
Cool. This is spoilers, but look how many
Huge
there are.
spoilers.
Massive spoilers. I love it. Ken is the biggest non-spoiler.
It's just like right in the middle of the screen.
That's funny. Why do I keep having makeup drop under my eyes? Yeah, Ken is like, I don't even want to know if the rest of the book's good. That's a spoiler. And then just shows us all the spoily. I mean, what I think it demonstrated was that there is a plethora of different classes, races, and almost species in there as well. I mean, the map shows the lands. What's wrong with looking at peoples? I agree. Yeah, but Ken, my spoiler threshold is like very lax on a good day.
Because there's a ton of characters on that page.
Oh, the characters. But if you don't know what you're looking for. I guess. Well, sorry if it spoiled it for some people. I personally thought it was a good look at
it's
what
great.
The land's about.
Just ironic that Ken's the one who posted it.
That's what's funny. That's what's funny. I love it. So if Ken doesn't mind and Ken showed it, then I think we're all good. Yeah. I think that we got the Ken approval. The Ken spoiler approval. Otherwise known as the Kpa. I'll work on that. once again, there's a race of people that are not considered completely human. As in, Colleen, you're talking about they're like less than people because they're at the bottom of the class system.
Yes, I think that Cal said something at one point about Parshendi not being completely human.
Yep.
It's always a great way. It's always a great way to deal with your enemies is to consider them less than human.
Well, sure, but in this case, they actually aren't human.
Oh, they're not?
Yeah, they're not all human.
I want to look at that picture again. I thought it was like, oh yeah. Okay.
You mean the Parshmen or Parshendi?
The Parshmen and the Parshendi are not human, period.
Oh.
Just the fact that they have 2 arms and 2 legs. Things that I can't talk about right now.
Okay, fair enough. Woohoo, how exciting. Tim, does that sound exciting? Is it you getting more excited to read?
Sorry, I wasn't listening again.
Cool. Yeah, that's the answer.
I'm here in support, but I have a ton of work to do.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you.
No, you're fine.
I'll just tell you. I'll tell you that this is exciting, and I'm looking forward to you continuing reading. Yeah, I just got. Basil says Death looking like Mewtwo. Baden says I can't wait for the last one on the right side. I don't want to show it again just in case it is spoilery, but I want to look at it again. The far right side. Oh yeah.
Yeah, look at the name. Like, it's absurd.
I can't
Don't
even
worry,
read
everybody
it.
else thinks that name is absurd too.
Can you say it for us?
Fuck no, I can't say it. Are you kidding me? Nobody can say that name.
Well, Michael Kramer's going to have to say it when he reads the audiobook. Suck shit, Michael Kramer. You have to say that word. That makes me feel good. Brad says, oh, these teasers are so enticing. Pianki says, I can say that name. Pianki, get into the Members Plus so we can hear you say it. Where is this picture? Says Aslan.
Maki, Aki, shit.
Bless you.
We got halfway there.
It's like that one that Welsh town.
Yes, Wales.
Yeah, well, yeah. And you got David Tennant says it effortlessly.
It reminds me of the Englishman who went up a hill and came down a mountain. The name of the hill in question. I don't know how to say it, but it was like a running joke that Hugh Grant's character couldn't say it.
Oh, that's funny. Aslan's asking where the picture is actually in one of the locked channels, Aslan. So those who are a member, you can sign up patreon.com. It's $5 a month. It's in the show chat, but I'm pretty sure you can just look it up online as well. But if you want to join the Patreon, like absolutely do that as well. Lisa's back. Hey Lisa, how was the Cirque du Soleil? Oh, we're over time. We're well over time. I'll ask you in the after show. If you do want to sign up for Patreon and become a member, unlock channels on the Discord. You get to ask authors Q&A when I have my interviews, and you get to help vote on the upcoming books that we're doing for the rest of the year. And you get double entries in giveaways when we do those. If you want to be a member plus, you get to join an amazing community. We're all in a Google Discord call right now. I get to see expressions and reactions, and they're a part of the entire conversation for the show. And then we hang out for a little bit after the show and have a debrief and chat as well. Gaia says, run out of time as soon as we really start to talk about the book. Haha, good thing we've got 3 more streams of this. Your next homework, I believe, is part 2. Tass had it all mapped out for us. I have
Comes
to
after part 1, so no, read part 3 and then 2.
But are we doing 2 and 3 or just 2?
Just 2.
All right, part 2. Thank you, Gaia. Chapters 12 to 28. So finish 28, and I'll see you this time next week. And then we're going to be continuing the book next month. Ruthless Vows is our bonus book. The week following that, look, there is room to push. There's wiggle room here, whether we want to push the next reading chapter for Way of Kings or if we want to push Ruthless Vows back a week to have a little bit more time to finish the whole book, even though half of you have already blitzed through it anyway. KBW said the interludes are 1 to 4, 1 4, 1 5, and 1 6. So there's 3 interludes after chapter 28 as well. I'm excited to keep diving into it. I'm not going to continue listening to it. I'm going to have to read it, even though I missed an entirely.
It's the right answer.
Chapter. Yeah, for
you
this
gotta
one
read
especially, you got to read it. And I'm learning that lesson, so I'll be reading this one.
What do you think of the Salon's narrator? You like her?
Nah, she's better though. She's better than Michael Kramer. She sounds a little bit like this narrator that has done the Witch. Aaron got me into this book. It's like, I don't know if anyone's seen my Goodreads, but it's basically been, there it is, Dead Witch Walking by Kim Harrison. I've been trying to listen to this book for 3 years. The narrator is so over the top. It's like she's like doing a Broadway detective noir. Yes, well, the thing about that is, and that's how she narrates the entire book, and it is beyond frustrating. I can't even like go to sleep listening to it because it's so irritating. This woman sounds slightly like that, but slightly like that is still not good for me. Bianchi says, I'll always like both these narrators. I only listen at 1.1 to 1.2. No wrong answers, just different approaches. She was great in the Athena Club trilogy. Oh, Lisa's listening at 1.7. I was listening to it at 1.6. I've been doing 1.6. Colleen's 1.7. Kate Reading does all the Anne Rice books too. Do you like her? Nah. Jay Bunrock, you do not listen at 1.0. They sound drunk at 1.0.
I can't speed it up at all. As soon as it sounds a little bit sped up, it throws me off, so I just can't do it.
Yeah, I'm big on listening to the cadence, and when you speed it up, you just completely lose that. So I can't stand listening to faster than 1, which also means I'm just not going to listen to this one.
This is a 42-hour book. It's a 42-hour book.
I'm also reading, so I'll read a chapter, listen to a chapter, read a chapter.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks everyone. Let's raid. I'll see you all next week. Put it in the calendars. I'll see you in Fable. I'm much better on Fable if I'm reading the book as well. Who can we... You know what? I ran into her last night. Her name is Brizzy Voices. Anna Brisbane. She's playing Hades 2. It must have just come out. Cool.
Yeah, just dropped on early access.
I saw her last night at the event. So let's pop on by, say hi. I actually kind of want to see if Hades 2 is any good. Vaden, weren't you saying that you wanted to play it?
Sorry, which one?
Hades 2? Am I making this up?
Yeah. No, I do. I'm super interested. A lot of people were interested. It looks awesome.
Yeah, no, it's good.
The extra effort of Fable is really worth it to me. Oh, yep. Thanks for the stream. Thank you, Brush Kid. GK Game Fan says, I think Brizzy has some huge YouTube videos. She sure did. Go say hi. I've been